there are no Lord, he has got no parents. These are Sanskrit quotations. That means Almighty God has got no parents, he has got no Lord. Furthermore, if we analyze, it is mentioned in the Svetasvara Upanishad, chapter number 4, verse number 19, Natasti Pratimasti. Of that God, there are no images. There is no pratima, there is no photograph, there is no idol, there is no image. Same thing in Yajurved, chapter number 32, verse number 3, Natasti Pratimasti. Of that God, there are no images. So if you go back to your Vedas and your scriptures, it speaks about one God. So people many a time are not aware of the scriptures. And when the question just a couple of days back, I had given an interview to Star News. They asked me, Brother Zakir, what is your view regarding Vande Mataram? Can the Muslims say or not? I said, what do the Muslims say? I'll come to it afterwards. I'll first tell you what the Hindu scriptures say. He was shocked. What do I mean by that? I said, if anyone who's a scholar of the Veda agrees that God has got no pratima. So when you say Vande Mataram, that this country is my mother and you call it God, a person who's a scholar, I'm not talking about the normal people who don't know about the scriptures. But you ask a scholar, he will say that Vande Mataram goes against the Vedas. Because Vande Mataram in no less than 3 places it says, I bow down to thee. I worship thee. If you see about the Arya Samaj and you see the various top scholars, they think that according to the Vedas, idol worship is not permitted. There are verses in Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 7, verse number 20, which says that you should not do idol worship. So here when you go back to your scriptures, unfortunately, they believe in a form of pantheism. So even according to the Vedas, if you're a good scholar, this song, Vande Mataram, that I bow down and I worship thee, as I quoted in Sanskrit about Upanishad, it's against. Even in Islam, there are 12 lines which are objectionable. 3 times it is said, Vande Mataram, which means I bow down to thee. If once it says that this country is my mother, once it says I will kiss the feet, once it says about the divine things, about the smile, talking about divinity, it calls it Lakshmi, it is called Durga. All these things are objectionable. We Muslims, we love this country. But we will not bow down to anyone but to Almighty God. Even a mother who has born in a womb for 9 months, we love her, we respect her, but we will not bow down to our mother, to our own mother. The number 1 human being who we love and respect in the world after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We will even not bow down to a Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Is it required that we should sing this song Vande Mataram? It is a political gimmick. Politicians, they thought they get the vote bank, they even made a gimmick on the date. You know when it was written by Bankim Chand Chattopadhyay in 1876. It was published in 1882. So where is century come now? And where's 7th September? They made a mistake, the political gimmick. Furthermore, even a Muslim living in Saudi Arabia, he cannot bow down to his country, Saudi Arabia. Even a Muslim living in Pakistan cannot bow down to Pakistan. It is shirk. So to say that the Indian Muslims are not patriotic, it is our religion. Our creator, our God who has made this country is far superior. So we love this country. When required for the truth, we are willing to die for this country. But we will not bow down to anyone but Almighty God.
We would prefer questions from non-Muslims first because we have a limited time. I think it would be fair to the occasion. And people who would like to ask questions on the slip can kindly write on the slips and pass it on down the aisle. Yeah. Any other question with any sister there? A non-Muslim sister? Yes.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening to everyone present here. My name is Preeti Sethi. I would like to ask you, sir, as in your talk you have said that Osama bin Laden, we can't consider him as a terrorist as it is said in BBC and CNN channels, but at the same time we get the same information about the bomb blast and the count which we get about the bomb blast on the same channels. So whether it has to be believed or no. Thank you, sir.
The sisters asked a very good question, very relevant question. I said that when we talk about Osama bin Laden, that if you get information on BBC that he's a terrorist, we don't have to believe. But when we get the count of the bomb blast, do we have to believe? That's what I said, the people controlling. That doesn't mean all the news of BBC is wrong. That news in which they make a hero into a villain, in which they'll benefit, you have to check up. So here we see that these normally bomb blast figures that you get, most of them that you find will be somewhat similar. If it's a government channel of the country in which the bomb blasts have taken place, the figure will be normally low. Why? Because the government wants to show that less people have been killed. Like the police commissioner wrote to me, 187 people killed. Newspaper writes 207. I don't know who's right. I'm not saying that Commissioner A.N. Roy is lying. I'm not saying that. Please don't get me wrong. So here we have to realize that when we get information, we have to see the proof. When we see the proof about Osama bin Laden, even on the channel, it is mentioned prime suspect, sister. Prime suspect. Prime suspect. Do you know, if you go to the website of the US Department of Justice, Info Police, they give the list of the terrorist organizations. Terrorist organizations. 43, 60% are Muslim. Can you guess which is the most popular terrorist organization? Can you guess Muslim terrorist organization? Can you guess?
No, sorry.
Which is the most popular Muslim terrorist organization? Al-Qaeda. You don't get a prize for that, very easy. Al-Qaeda. According to the US Department, you know how many attacks? How many attacks? Ulfa, 749 attacks. Al-Qaeda, only 28. Out of that, 26 alleged, 2 Al-Qaeda claims they did it. According to the site of US Department of Justice, Al-Qaeda claims, all alleged, not a single proved. Even on the official site of US Department of Justice, not a single attack of Al-Qaeda has been proved. I'm not here to support Al-Qaeda. You know, when Yohan Redley went to Afghanistan, she was arrested by the Taliban. She comes back and she's asked the question, what are your views about Al-Qaeda? She replies, I doubt whether Al-Qaeda exists. So sister, what I'm trying to tell you, that when we get the information, if you are a man of the media or a person of the media, you can realize and you know that this information mostly will be correct, this has to be checked up. So what we have to realize that it is suspect, prime suspect, prime suspect. Even on CNN and BBC, even though they say it's a prime suspect, they're treating him as though he's a culprit. Can you go and kill thousands of Afghans only because of prime suspect? Not even proved. So, but natural sister, when we hear the news, we have to realize that who controls the news, what is the agenda behind, and then we have to be careful what news you take and what you quote. Hope that answers the question, sister.
A non-Muslim brother?
The question has been put forward by my non-Muslim friend.
Okay, we'll allow that.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum sir, myself Saif and I am a management student. The question is that do you think that Muslim feel insecurity and that's why can we say that the terrorism is its outcome? Thank you sir, your comment please.
The brother asked the question that do Muslims feel insecure and that is the reason terrorist acts are done. I told in my talk the main root cause of terrorism is injustice. It's not insecurity. Insecurity may be part of it, but the main cause is injustice. Injustice and something wrong done to a group of people. If you read an article that came yesterday on Sunday midday, on the eve of the 9/11, one of the very famous persons, name is William, he writes and he gives advice that the root cause is injustice and wrong done to community. And he agrees with the Bombay authorities that there are possibilities that Kashmiris may have done bomb blasts in Bombay. But he says, what is the cause? According to him, the Kashmiris are unmilitant people. They are peace-loving people. So what has forced them to fight? And he gives his view, it is because of democracy which is forged. He says that, not me. It's not my comments. Person who is an expert. And he gives advice to people in the world. He says that the democracy is forged. It is manipulated. That's the reason what we find that they're fighting. Same in Palestine. They're fighting because the rights are taken away. So the main cause of terrorism is injustice done to a group or any wrong done. So to get their rights back, this gives rise to a fight, to a retaliation, which is called terrorism by people opposing it. Those who agree with it, they call good. For example, Bhagat Singh. He fought for the freedom of the country. By the Britishers, he was called terrorist. We call him freedom fighter. So depending upon what is the background, therefore, before you give a label of terrorist, therefore I said terrorism has got different meanings, has got different definitions. It changes because of geographical definition. It changes because of history. So the same person who's called a terrorist by British government, we Indians called him a freedom fighter. So like that, we have to find out the main cause is injustice done to a group of people.
I'll ask a question from non-Muslim brother on the slip. As Christopher Lobo asks,